saw in Genesis 20 that the Bible gives us a very realistic picture, and it shows us very clearly what is right and what is wrong. Now, the center of our story is a person called Abraham who was chosen by God. He was elected, and he had a special calling. And if we have this image, we very often see either that if a person who is chosen by God, he has to be ideal, he has to be perfect, good. Or if he's still chosen and he's not perfect and not so good and a little bit blurred in his moral kind of standards, then we blur the moral standards. We take away the good and the bad and say, it's not so clear in the Bible, you can interpret whatever. We have this tension. I just want to take you into this tension here in this text, and for a third time look at it. And this time we look at Abram's calling. I read from the beginning, from there Abram, from the mountains we have not far from here, Abram traveled in the direction of the Negev. He settled between Kadesh and Shur and lived for some time in Gerar. We are here in Gerar. Abram said to his wife Sarah, "She is my sister." And therefore Abimelech, king of Gerar, sent and took Sarah. But God came to Abimelech in a dream by night and said to him, "You're a dead man because of the woman whom you have taken. She belongs to another man." But he had not taken her. He had not touched her. So Abimelech was able to say, "Lord, will you kill an innocent people? Did he not himself say, Abraham, she's my sister, and Sarah confirmed, he is my brother? In the integrity of my heart and the innocence of my hands, I've done this." Then the one true living God said in the dream, "Yes, I know that you have done this in the integrity of your heart. It was I who kept you from sinning against me, therefore I did not let you touch her. Now then," and I'll listen exactly, we are here in verse 7. "Now then," the Lord says to Abimelech, "return the man's wife, for he is a prophet." Now wait a minute. You see the whole picture? And God says, he's a prophet? Maybe Abimelech thought, he looks rather like a pimp. If you offer women who should be honored for immoral purposes or whatever, this doesn't really look like a prophet. And God so goes on and says, "Let him pray for you, so you shall live." It's a matter of death and life for Abimelech. Now wait a minute. Who has the better relationship here with God? This Abram or I, Abimelech? Just go into the situation and picture it for yourself. God says, he is the prophet. And if you want to be healed, if you want to live, go and let him pray for you. He is called to be the intercessor. In a way, we already see here what Yeshua, Jesus, 2 millennia later, 2,000 years later, teaches the Samaritan woman at Jacob's well in Shechem, which is today's Nablus, up there in the mountains. When he teaches her and says, salvation, if you want to have salvation, if you want to be healed, if you want to have life, salvation is from the Jews. It's not a matter how good they are. It's not a matter whether they come up to the moral standards the Lord himself gives, but it's a question of the Lord's calling. And the Lord is with Abimelech. I return to the text. He is so clear. He says, if you do not return her, know that you surely die, you and all who are yours. What we see here re-emphasized. I took you to Jesus' time. Now I take you back to the beginning of our story with Abraham, in Genesis 12, verse 3, the Lord says it at the very beginning, I will bless those that bless you, and whoever belittles you, I will curse. And in this way, all the families of the earth will be blessed. So, it is decisive for us today that we as Gentile nations, as non-Jewish nations, have a relationship with the nation of Israel, with the children of Abraham. It is crucial that we do not lose sight of this determination that God has determined, this fact that He has put on the ground in this creation, the very beginning. And it says then in verse 17, listen to this. It says, then Abraham prayed to the, and it says here again, to the one true and living and only God. And God healed Abimelech and also healed his wife and female slaves so that they bore children. You see here the crucial key, the crucial point in this whole scenario is that Abraham sticked to his calling. Now just imagine the situation. Abimelech could have come to God and said, Lord, I have a relationship to you. I'm the one who listens to you. I'm the one who holds up your standards. So why isn't it enough that I just tell you? Maybe the Lord has a plan in taking Abimelech, letting him go to Abraham and say, Abraham, I need you to pray for me. I need you to talk to your God for me so that I will have life. I will be healed. And if you see here also, the fruitfulness of the family of Abimelech was dependent on Abraham's prayer. For the Lord had closed all the wombs of the house of Abimelech because Sarah and Abraham's wife. Look, it is the whole meaning of this series that we focus in a special way on our relationship with Israel. And this is one of the points where it becomes very, very clear why this relationship with Israel is so important. We sometimes as Christians behave, we think, we prove theologically that if I have only Jesus, then I have enough. I don't need more. I have it. But what if we have a relationship with the Father in heaven through Jesus, as Christians, as Gentile believers, and then the one true and living God tells us, and maybe we have the better relationship with Him, but then He tells us, but look, I have chosen Israel for a specific purpose, and now, in order to establish this purpose, and maybe also in order to do something with the Jewish people, you go and ask them to pray for you. Just imagine. I'll show you a little bit of crazy situation. Just imagine somebody is sick and he has a very good relationship with the God of Israel, and he goes to a Jew who doesn't have a relationship with the God of Israel and say, but look, the Lord has called you to pray for me and I will be healed. And he in a way forces him, because it's such an embarrassing situation, to pray for him, and a miracle happens that the Lord will listen to him. Now, I admit, I speculated here a little bit, but what I want to do is with these texts and with these explanations, I want to trigger you a little bit to think about yourself, about your relationship with God, about the situation in this world, and about our relationship with the Jewish people. And let me add one last thing, and then I'm finished with this sequence. there is a concentration today on the nation of Israel that is absolutely illogical. If you look at the United Nations, they focus on Israel more than on any other nation. Actually, they focus on Israel more than on the rest of the world. And I'm convinced that the enemy of God much better understands the crucial function and the crucial situation of Israel in this world, much better understands it than maybe the Christian church.